The top stories: Ethiopia mourns the passing of the late Grand Mufti Haji Umar Idris. And African experts are calling for urgent government action to accelerate the continent's shift to electric mobility. Hello and a warm welcome to EBC News. With the news, I'm Tabitha John. To stay with us, Grand Mufti Haji Umar Idris, former president of the Ethiopian Islamic Affairs Supreme Council, has passed away. It is only earlier last week that news of his admittance to hospital in the capital Addis Ababa was reported. Following the news on passing of the late Grand Mufti, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, President Taye Atske-Selassie, religious leaders and citizens across the country have expressed sadness and extended their condolences. The Ethiopian Islamic Affairs Supreme Council and the Interreligious Council of Ethiopia have expressed their condolences over the death of Grand Mufti Haji Umar Idris. The council further announced that his funeral will be conducted in a manner befitting the national and religious contributions he made throughout his life. Similarly, the Interreligious Council of Ethiopia hailed the Grand Mufti as a national elder and a father who treated all Ethiopians equally, regardless of faith, ethnicity, or nationality. In its statement, the council expressed condolences to his family, friends, and all Ethiopians and recalled his lifelong guidance and advice to the nation, emphasizing his words, "Be human, personality comes first." The Patriarch of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, His Holiness Abuna Matthias, has expressed his condolences following the death of the Grand Mufti Haji Umar Idris. In his message of condolence, His Highness Abuna Matthias the First described the late Grand Mufti as one of Ethiopia's revered elders, a mentor and a beloved figure whose wisdom and dedication left a lasting imprint on the nation. Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation is deeply saddened with the news and would like to convey heartfelt condolences to Ethiopians. Ethiopia and Qatar have taken steps to deepen their strategic partnership, focusing on investment and development cooperation. The discussions took place on the sidelines of the 2025 World Bank and International Monetary Fund annual meetings in Washington, D.C. Finance Minister Ahmed Shide held a bilateral meeting with Qatar's Minister of Finance Ali bin Ahmed Al Kuwari and Director General of the Qatar Fund for Development Fahad Hamad Al Sulaiti to explore avenues for expanded collaboration in infrastructure development, private investment, and development assistance. Minister Ahmed emphasized the importance of strengthening bilateral relations and highlighted Ethiopia's growing investment opportunities. He noted the government's commitment to facilitating Qatari investments in sectors such as manufacturing, agriculture, tourism, and services. Qatar's Minister of Finance reaffirmed his country's strong interest in deepening cooperation with Ethiopia and expressed appreciation for the progress achieved through Ethiopia's economic reforms. He highlighted the significant potential for impactful trade and investment projects between the two nations. The Director General of the Qatar Fund for Development confirmed the fund's readiness to support initiatives that promote inclusive development, investment, and trade.
ይመቻል።
Welcome back. African experts are calling for urgent government action to accelerate the continent's shift to electric mobility. Professor Eric Ofusu Antwi, Regional Coordinator for the West Africa Centers of Excellence for Energy Network, urged governments to increase financing and revise tax policies to make electric vehicles more affordable and attractive to consumers and investors. Najiba Katesi of AfriCruise E Uganda Limited highlighted the importance of collaboration among stakeholders to drive the clean transport revolution forward. Their calls come as Africa looks to lead the way in sustainable zero-emission transport solutions. Jerusalem Betzaha reports.
Last week, Africa in Mobility Week 2025 brought together policymakers, industry leaders, investors, innovators and development partners in Addis Ababa, the capital of Africa, to fast-track the transition to electric mobility across the continent. The focus of the event was aligning policies, infrastructure, financing and technology to accelerate the shift toward zero-emission transport. Speaking to EBC World, Professor Eric Ofson, Regional Coordinator for the West Africa Centers of Excellence for Energy Network, emphasized the importance of government financing in supporting the fastest-growing electric mobility markets on the continent.
Adding value to the minerals, we should not export the minerals just to the West. Okay, adding value to the minerals and then producing our own batteries will help very much in building finance for the e-vehicle sector within Africa. And can we bring our investors together and say that this is what Africa we want to do and champion African businessmen to go into this? I think Africa will not miss out if we do this. We have already established businessmen who are looking for a push, that we are creating the market for East Africa for you. We are creating the market for Southern Africa for you. We are creating the market for West Africa for you. Okay? Come together, build an industry that can produce e-vehicles for the West Africa region. Okay? I think African governments must look into this and come together to do this so that we do not send our money back to Europe and back to the Western world. If we do this, it will be easy to take advantage and then we can do the financing.
Eric and Najiba Katisi from AfriCruise Uganda Limited also highlighted the need to revise tax policies and introduce targeted incentives, making electric mobility more accessible and attractive to both customers and investors.
Investors who come into Africa have free access into other African countries without any blocks, okay? We should be able to create interoperability such that I can easily switch from one charging station to another. Number two, I can even move from one African country to another African country with my e-vehicle. If that is done, and we have charging stations across the corridors, okay, investing in Africa for these businesses should not be a challenge, because you know that if I am moving into Ghana for business, if I'm moving into Togo for business, if I'm moving to Benin for business, I can easily move without any challenge. So that regional integration should be developed, and our African transportation sector should drive this.
One of the things could be harmonizing the taxation, that could be. Then another area that needs to be thought through in terms of policy is the issue of safety and infrastructure development for EVs. So much as many countries are adopting and it is very exciting, we still have the biggest challenge for EV adoption is energy, it is of course the infrastructure, and all this requires some kind of policy reform for all countries to equally adopt electric mobility.
Najiba echoed the sentiments, stressing the role of collaborative efforts in driving the clean transport revolution.
A lot of young people are coming up with innovations in EVs, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, vehicles, among other things. So if we can bring together our members within the continent to learn, to innovate together, I think we can equally, as the African continent, be the leading continent when it comes to e-mobility innovation.
As Africa positions itself at the forefront of sustainable transport, Africa E-Mobility Week 2025 marks a critical step in transforming ambitious plans into tangible progress.
Ethiopia has once again thrown its full weight behind the Kampala Declaration on Jobs, Livelihoods and Self-Reliance, pledging to transform promises into tangible progress. This is more than a reaffirmation. It's a rallying cry for regional unity and human dignity, saying that refugees are not burdens to be managed, but potentials to be unleashed. Director General of the Refugees and Returnees Affairs Service underlined that the provision of skills, technical know-how and access to financing, the country envisions a future where displaced communities rise as entrepreneurs, innovators and drivers of inclusive economic growth. This powerful message echoed today during a high-level IGAD consultative meeting where member states gathered to reflect on strides made and the road ahead in turning the aspirations of the Kampala Declaration into lasting change. Take a look at the following account by our staff reporter, Binyam Alamayo.
The Kampala Declaration on Jobs, Livelihoods and Self-Reliance for Refugees, Returnees and Host Communities is a regional political commitment made by member states of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, in March 2019 during the summit held in Kampala, Uganda. It aims to promote economic inclusion, self-reliance and sustainable livelihoods for refugees and asylum seekers, returnees and host communities. Addressing a huge gathering of states and IGAD member states, Director General of the Refugees and Returnees Service, RRS, Taiba Hassan, underscored that as a nation hosting 1.1 million refugees, Ethiopia reaffirms commitment to the declaration thanks to its comprehensive program of marketed inclusion. She, however, cautioned participants that the growing challenge called for strengthened collaboration on the part of states.
The constrained capacity of local microfinance institutions, which limits refugees' opportunities for credit and investment. Insufficient and unpredictable development financing, which threatens sustainability. These challenges call for stronger partnerships and predictable long-term investments.
Detailing Kenya's commitment to the refugee cause, Deputy Commissioner of Kenya's Refugee Department, Joshua Auer, pointed out that the nation has been pursuing the integration of refugees into society by ensuring the right to own property and access to social services, among others.
The Kenyan government is operating on an open door policy as a member of the world community and a signatory to the 1951 UN Convention and all these other protocols and regulations and commitments made so far. We receive refugees with open hand, and our situation is now a bit protracted. As I said in my speech, that we are now hosting over 800,000 refugees. And the situation has been there for the last 35 years. We don't see the situation getting better in the near future. And so because refugees are our people, as I normally say that in the East African region, the Great Lakes region, the IGAD region, the Horn of Africa, we are the producers and consumers of refugees. So these are our people. And so as a government, we have decided that we must look for ways and means of engaging them and involving them in the economic activities of the country.
Kenya and Ethiopia have called on member states to renew their commitment to equitable responsibility sharing, emphasizing the need for a quicker and lasting refugee problem. Likewise, the World Bank, as a major partner in the supply of finance and technology to host nations, has reaffirmed continued support to the cause.
It's about jobs, it talks about livelihood, it talks about self-reliance. And we know this is what refugees want. Like any Ethiopian or Kenyan who grows up, they want to have a job, they want to earn an income, they want to support their own families, they want to be independent. who want to live a life of dignity. And this is what the Kampala Declaration is all about. So having that kind of policy at the regional level, and then gets reflected at the national level. So Ethiopia is developing a roadmap, the Makatet roadmap, to support the social and economic inclusion of refugees and host communities. Kenya has the Sharika plan to do the same. This is all about, as I said, helping to create an environment where refugees have the right to work, where they can get freedom of movement so they can access a job or start a business or access a market. So I think this is absolutely crucial, and the Kampala Declaration, I think, has been very influential.
Through the World Bank-supported development response to Displacement Impacts Project, DRPIP, IGAD members have been actively engaged in refugee livelihoods, strengthening host community resilience, and transformed displacement challenges into development opportunities that benefit both displaced and host populations.
And finally, Indonesia is eager to bolster its economic cooperation with Ethiopia, heralding a new chapter in bilateral relations. Following a ceremonial presentation of credentials at the majestic Ethiopian Grand National Palace, Indonesian Ambassador to Ethiopia Faisal Cherry Siddhartha expressed his nation's enthusiasm for deepening economic ties on multiple fronts. Kasahun Jani presents Ethiopian News Agency's file as follows.
Indonesia has expressed its keenness to strengthen its economic cooperation with Ethiopia. Following his credential presentation at the Grand National Palace, Indonesian Ambassador to Ethiopia Faisal Cherry Siddhartha has emphasized his country's keenness to strengthen its economic ties with Ethiopia. Ambassador Siddhartha was among several newly appointed ambassadors who presented their credentials to Ethiopian President Taye Asqaselasi. Speaking to the Ethiopian News Agency during the occasion, Ambassador Siddhartha emphasized the importance of deepening bilateral relations between Indonesia and Ethiopia, especially in practical areas of economic development. The ambassador stated that the current environment presents an opportunity to strengthen the two nations' relationship both politically and in key economic sectors.
It is timely now to develop it further, not only in political sphere, but also concretely in economic areas of cooperation, particularly in cooperation to develop agribusiness, agriculture, manufacturing, as well as in technology sector.
The ambassador also explains the importance of expanding trade relations and fostering stronger business-to-business ties between our two countries. In particular, he pointed to the significance of closer cooperation between chambers of commerce and stronger engagement between the Ethiopian Investment Commission and relevant Indonesian institutions.
Indonesia has been in cooperation with Ethiopia in artificial insemination of cattle. I think there is promise for us to develop more closer cooperation in this area of agriculture as well as agri-processing and aquaculture. Focus more on business to business. That's why Indonesia's suggestion is to develop cooperation between chambers of commerce and relations between Ethiopian Investment Commission and the relevant institutions in Indonesia. I think these relations are not only at the government level, but also business to business is the foundation for a solid bilateral relations in the future.
Ambassador Siddhartha reaffirmed Indonesia's readiness to support Ethiopia's development goals while promoting mutually beneficial cooperation across various sectors.
You're watching ABC News, a reminder of the top stories. Ethiopia mourns passing of the late Grand Mufti Haji Omar Idris. And African experts are calling for urgent government action to accelerate the continent's shift to electric mobility. That's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha John. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and take care.